Guys, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let us now learn the beautiful Torah. Welcome to Amud Yomi Shiur in Avas Shalom. We are in Bava Metzia Daf Kuf Amud Beis. Bava Metzia Kuf Amud Beis. We start a little bit late today. Kuf Amud Beis. We're going to continue enjoy the beautiful sugya Be'ezras Hashem of Shevua. When do we say that there's Shevua over Avodim? When do we say that there's no Shevua? We're before the middle of the page. The line starts with the word Ume Orois, Veho Rabbi Meir. We have to start now with the words Veho Rabbi Meir, Ipcha, Veho Rabbi Meir. That is about 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 20, 15 to 20 lines. The line starts with the word Ume Orois, Ume Arot. Veho Rabbi Meir. Yeah, we have to now learn the words Veho Rabbi Meir. The Shiur is Le'ilui Nishmas Rabbi Meir, Menachem ben Akiva, Rus bas Shalom Sor bas Moshe, Rochel bas Avrom, Rufus Pnina Chaim bas Geula Rochel, Aviva bas Devoiro, Chaim ben Sete, Eric Yitzchak ben Miriam, Besoch Shar Chole Yisrael. We do have to summarize. We have a lot of summarizing and summary to do. Yeah, basically, we said yesterday, we quoted the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that there are cases in which a person argues over an eved or a piece of land. Let's say I said to you, I'm selling you an eved, and I have two avodim, one big sturdy one that's worth 100,000, and one small one worth 50,000. And I deliver to your door the eved 50,000, and you say, what? We spoke about 100,000. Yeah, the client, customer is always right, maybe. The customer says, no, we spoke about the big one, not about the small one. So we view it as moide b'mixas. Why? Because although these are two different items, we follow the opinion of Rabbi Gamliel that says it's as if you admitted to part of the money, which is doraisa. A person who admits part of the claim has to do what? Take Shevua, ki huzeh. And also we view that as an issue of non-heilach, which means that because the Eved has his hand cut off, or the field in the case has a lot of holes in it, so therefore the person who admits that he really owes him the small Eved, it's not that the Eved was already given to him. The Eved should be given to him because the current Eved is useless, he is endless. Now, what was the third problem we had? How can he be nishba on avodim? Are you telling me that if two people have an issue over big Eved, small Eved, big karka, small karka, then the person who is accused has to take Shevua? No. We learn in the Torah, Hitan ishal reu kesef oy kelim. When the Torah tells you in Pashas Mishpatim that a person has to be nishba in case that he's accused of lying, of stealing, whatever, and he's claimed to owe X amount, and he only admits for part of the amount, he has to take Shevua. The Torah picks its words. The Torah is not I'm giving you examples. The Torah says kesef or kelim. What's kesef or kelim? Money or kelim, utensils, vessels, whatever you call kelim. Then Shevua has to be taken. Now, that comes to exclude what? It comes to exclude three things. It comes to exclude a karkois. Karka always halachically, for every area in halacha almost, karka is viewed differently to metaltalim. When you learn Gemara, you have to have two boxes in your mind. Karka and metaltalim. It applies to Shevua, right? In other words, if you have a claim about karka, Shevua is not a solution. Look for any other solution in the book, not Shevua, right? There are many, many other nafkaminas for Shabbos, for Tuma, for whatever you want, yeah? And now, yeah, so how can it be nishba on the karka? It's not kesef for kelim. Answers the Gemara that up. Now we're getting to the conclusion of yesterday. Rabbi Meir, and now I'm going to explain something very, very fundamental. Very fundamental. Rabbi Meir, yeah, holds that a person may be nishba on karka and kelim. Karka and kelim. Excuse me, karka and avodim. Sorry. No. Before Rabbi Meir, let me go back one step. Excuse me, I rushed myself. When we say kesef or kelim, it comes to exclude three things. Karka is not kesef or kelim. What's kesef or kelim? Mobile things, movables, cash. What else? Anything that moves around. Animals, kelim, candlesticks, computers, phone, whatever you want. Karka is different. What about avodim? Avodim can run around very quickly, hopefully. But avodim are always halachically compared to karkois. Karkois and avodim, or so we think now, they're like Siamese twins. They're always together because we have a pasuk about avodim. If I'm not mistaken, the source is v'isnachaltim also b'levnechem achareichem. Yeah, in other words, the avodim are like a nachala. Avodim are looked at as like a piece of land, and therefore the halachos of lands apply to avodim. Even though they can run around, halachically it's as if they are real estate. What's the third item? The third item is shtoris. Shtoris, yeah. Let's say you have a check. You have, give me another example for a star. I don't know, a document that translates into money, right? Anything, yeah. I can sell you a check that somebody owes me money. People sell checks, right? Dividends, I don't know, all these things. Yeah, exchange papers. So then we say that too, if I have an issue and I say you owe me a check of 100,000 and you say, no, I only owe you 50,000 out of that check, then there's no Shevua. So it's avodim, korkois, and shtoris. These are the items that are excluded. Answers the Gemara, no, this is Rabbi Meir. Very good. What did Rabbi Meir say? Rabbi Meir says, no. Although it says in the Torah, Kesef Okelim, I still believe, says Rabbi Meir, I still hold that when it comes to karkois and avodim, lands, pieces of land, and avodim, Shevua does apply to them. The only item that's excluded are shtoros. Why is that? Because we have a rule in the Torah, which I should have written in the whiteboard, and I will be later. Whenever the Torah gives you the concept of klal uprat uklal, you're familiar with that. We've seen it many, many times, right? Many times the Torah writes you a general word, then a specific example, then again a general word. Yeah, in your mind it should be like something, wide, narrow, and wide again. So now the Torah tells you hitan ishal reu, a person gives to his friend anything to look after. Then the Torah constricts it kesef okelim, only kesef okelim, and then again the Torah gives you a general word, right? There are two ways how to learn it. One is, I'm telling you something very fundamental, which I'm sure we've seen before, but it's always good to refresh our memory. And that is, if you learn it with klal, uprat, uklal, general rule, minor, small example, and again a klal, that is to say, we're being very specific, and only kesef kelim, only things that are similar to kesef kelim, meaning only the group that includes mobile goods, only they're included in Shevua. Anything out of the group is out. Klal uprat uklal is very exclusive. Remember the word prat. That's a good way to remember it if your Hebrew is decent, which it is. What's prati in Hebrew? Private. Private. Prat is a detail, right? But prati is private. Private means it's only mine, nobody else can touch it, right? This is my private phone, this is my private glasses, right? So now, prat means, and that is how the non-Rabbi Meir party believes, anything that's out of the exclusive club, it's not kesef kelim. Karka, avodim, shtoros. Why are shtoros different? Because shtoros are not money, they translate into money. When you have a small check, how much is the check worth? 20 agorot, right? The check is 5 million shekels. It translates into 5 million. Yeah, but the check itself is worth garnished. It's nothing. I think it's maybe 20 agorot. And therefore, anything that's excluded, that's not in the party itself, or party, anything that's not in this party is excluded. That's the mainstream opinion of Chachomim. Rabbi Meir learns the drasha, ribui miut v'ribui. Ribui miut v'ribui means to say no. Ribui miut v'ribui is much less exclusive. Merabe, what's harbe? Harbe. Everything is included. Miut means me'at, a little bit. We have decreased it a little bit, and then again we increase it. And therefore, only shtoros that are very different to metaltalim, because shtoros are not worth money at all, they're excluded. But karkois and avodim that are money, the karka itself is worth money. It's physically worth, yeah. I can take this land and plant there 5,000 vineyards and vines and make money, yeah. It's more similar to metaltalim. And therefore it is still included in the halacha of Shevua. So I just gave it a general background, but Lamaisa, all you have to know for now is the maskona. According to Rabbi Meir, a person may be nishba on avodim and karkois. That's it. So you know who the author of the Mishnah is? Rabbi Meir. You have a problem with the fact that the Mishnah says that if I argue with you and I say, I sold you the small Eved, and you scream back, no, you sold me the big Eved. Take a Shevua. I claim I owe you 50,000 worth Eved, and you claim 100,000. Let's assume it's Moide B'miktzas, and it's not called Tonu B'chitim Odol B'soirim. It's a Shevua over Avodim, and Rabbi Meir believes you Nishba over Avodim. Very simple answer. That's where we're holding yesterday. That's where we're holding now. Now we have to continue. So again, our Mishnah follows Rabbi Meir, who believes that it's klal upatu, excuse me, ribi miut ribui, and therefore we say that the avodim and kokos are included in Shevua. Mazel tov, all very nice. Yeah, that's actually quite simple. Frag the Gemara, veho. Line starts with udu me'ores. We are in the word veho. Yeah. Frag the Gemara, ve'Rabbi Meir ipcha shaminan lei. Rabbi Meir al Shamina Le, we hear from Rabbi Meir, Ipcha, just the opposite. I'll prove to you now from a Mishnah in Bava Kama that says that Rabbi Meir actually views the Avodim like what? Like regular metaltalin. And at the moment, by the way, Avodim and Kokos are still, tied at the hip. Close at the hip. Avodim and Kokos, actually, you're going to see now, Rabbi Meir says the opposite, that they are considered like regular metaltalin, regular mobile goods, and they don't have any different halacha. Here, I'll show it to you. That none, excuse me. No. Oh, I got confused. Sorry. No. I'll show you now. The Rabbi Meir is the one who believes that avodim and presumably karkois are not considered like metaltalin, meaning they won't be shvua, but they are set apart. Now, you have to not get confused because we're going to mention a different halacha. I told you before that the difference between karkois and avodim and the rest of the world, the rest of assets, doesn't only apply to shvua, it also applies to other halachas. And now we're going to see another halacha, see how Rabbi Meir treats this halacha, and ask the question. That none, it says in the Mishnah, a small introduction for those of you who learned Bava Kama and those who, I think everyone here learned Bava Kama. I'll ask you a question. What happens if a person, Reuven, stole an item, and he stole it halachically with all the hidurim and the chumros? Yeah, he's a frum ganav. What did he do? He took the item and did meshicha, agbo, he did the proper kinyan, okay, over a piece of wood, let's say a raw piece of wood, so to speak, and then he changed it, carved it, crafted it into a nice chair. What does he have to give back now? The real nice chair? Or does he have to give the value of the original stick? Value of the original stick, I'm surrounded by Talmidei Chachamim. It says in the Torah, Ve'eshiv es gzela asher gozal. You have to return the gzela that you have stolen. But once you did kinyan, that's important to know. Once there's a kinyan gzela, there was proper cutoff point in which it moved halachically, not that it's okay, but technically, the item moved from the victim's reshus to the ganev's reshus. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a shiur. Then what? Then we say that at that moment, the item belongs to who? To the ganev. No, chas v'shalom, it doesn't belong to him. He can just do whatever he wants. It means that if the item now changes in his hands of the ganev, and it's a new item that, let's say, cannot be recognized, or it changed hands, the Shinu Rashus, Shinu Hashem, changed its name, changed its essence, then we say, oh, now it's a new item. I don't have to give it back to you. I'll have to give you back the original item that I stole, the monetary value of what I originally stole from you. Because that was the moment of the chiyuv. There's also yush. We're not talking now about yush. That also plays a role. If the first person gave up or didn't give up, it's not the issue right now. In light of what we just said, let's read again the Mishnah in Bava Kama. It's a Mishnah in Bava Kama. Okay, let's see. That's none. Gozel behema v'hizkina. A person stole a behema, a cow. The cow was young and robust and all full of beans and could plow a whole field in half an hour. V'hizkina, in the hands of the ganav, the behema now, 3 years later, he's already in old age home. The behema in the hands of the ganav just got much older, naturally older, unrecognizable. Now the animal is significantly older. That, what? White beard. Gray went gray, already has problems in the heart. It's already an old fossil. Avodim ve'izkinu. The Eved originally had, red hair. Now he has white hair. Now the Eved is significantly older in the hands of who? Of the Ganev. B'shalim kish'asak zela. Says Tanakama, listen, you have to pay like the original time of the Gzela. Eventually, the Ganev was caught, and the master of the Behema or the Eved says, give me back my old, my currently old behema or old eved. No, actually, no. He gets better rights. What kind of money? The behema and the eved will stay where? In the hands of the ganav. Now, how much are they worth? 50,000 shekels. Originally, when they were stolen, how much were they worth? 100,000, let's say. The ganav has to pay cash 100,000. Why? Because the moment of gzela, yeah, is when he actually was mischayev to give back. The moment of the gzela. Now he cannot be mekayim beishivas gzela shegozal because it's significantly different. And by the way, irreplaceable. With all due respect to all the cosmetic companies, nobody can really become, ageless and young forever, right? And therefore that Eved will be old, it will be old until he dies. So because it's irreparable, significant change, Mimela, we say, listen, the current Eved already belongs to who? To the Ganev. What does the Ganev have to pay? The high price of the young and robust, sporty Eved that he stole 5-10 years ago, so he has to pay the high price. That's basically not such a chiddush. That's the mainstream regular procedure of any Ganev, that something changed in his reshus, right? It's like I took my beam and made it into something nicer. In other words, it doesn't make a difference whether it increases or decreases in price. If it's really different in a way that's irreparable and not changeable anymore, you pay the original price because that's when you really, really stole and you really became chayev. Now the new item is in the hands of the ganev and he has to pay like the old price for good or for bad. That's a very general picture. Oh, so far so good. Oh, Rabbi Meir Omer, the avodim, there's a difference between an animal and avodim. Avodim are different to everything else. What's avodim like? They belong to the karka and shtaros family. They don't belong to the normal group of metaltalin. The avodim, in case of avodim, oimer loy areshel cholefanecha. In case of an eved, then the ganev can tell Mr. Victim, take the eved. Take the eved. Yes, I stole from you a robust 30 years old. Now that 60 years old is not that, agile and sporty anymore, you take that. Why? How can you say such a thing? I'll tell you why. Because we have a big machloikas in Bava Kama. Yeah, we have machloikas in Daf Tzadihel Amud in other places. Karka nigzeles or karka ene nigzeles. It's also in the last parak, which means if I steal a piece of land from you, how can I steal? I can't move a piece of land. Even with today's technology, I don't think you can take an actual place. Hook, line, and sinker, move it to America. So what do you say? You took hold over somewhere, you kicked everyone else out, yeah, and you put a whole line of mafiosos all around it. If I stole your land and the land changed significantly for good, for bad, for ugly, whatever, the land changed. I stole your piece of land, Khalila. Then, and the land changed. Do we say karka has the halachos of gzela? Or do we say because karka, it's a gzer sakosov combined with logic, karka never really gets stolen, never goes anywhere. And therefore karka does not have the halachos of gzela. What do you mean karka doesn't have the halachos of gzela? It means that even though I took hold of the piece of land that you have in a specific place, because he never moved out of, I'm saying bit balabatish, because he never moved out of anywhere, and actually the Torah endorses that idea, we say a karka, even in the hands of the ganav, ki'ilu it stayed in the hands of the balabais. And all the changes that were done to the karka, ki'ilu were made still in the hands of balabais. In other words, when I take your phone and I steal it, there was a clear cutoff point. It was by the victim, now it's by the ganav. Oh, from now on, there's a whole new set of rules, and now if it's going to change, let's say change this phone and make it into a frog, something else, I don't know, then what? Then goodbye, then it's a whole new thing. I pay you cash, not the actual thing. But karka, we say no. The karka never left the hands of the victim, of the real owner, halachically, according to one opinion, and therefore all the changes made, ki'ilu happened in the hands of the victim. Mimela, I say, listen, it's true that I took hold over it, and I have to pay you back the karka, but even if the karka is worth more, less, anything, take the karka, and that's it. That's what we say in Karkois, and that's what Rabbi Meir also says in Avodim. Rabbi Meir says Avodim, although the Eved was physically transferred into my house, he's doing my household jobs and my field work, and he became old, because Eved halachically is like a piece of land, it's as if the Eved never left you, Mr. Owner, and therefore the Eved, take the Eved with white hair, arthritis, Alzheimer, and everything. Take it back as it is, because it was never changed the hands and said, oh, now the new change is a new thing that belongs to the Ganav. It cannot belong to the Ganav because Karka, one second, Karka ain't an exelis. Karka doesn't have the halachas of transference of Gneva, and therefore Avodim are the same. Wait, so now what do we see? We see, and so far, by the way, we still believe that Avodim and Karkois are buddy. Yeah, like the girls say, BFF, best friends forever. In other words, the Karka and the Avodim are the same. And just like Rabbi Meir says that Avodim, now we're not talking about Shevua, true. We talk here about Gezela, but Tosfos says that Gezela also has, the psukim of Gezela also have the same concept of Klal Upatu Klal versus Ribu Miut V'Ribu. So Rabbi Meir here, what do we see? He switched sides, not switched sides. He never said what you claim he said. No. Rabbi Meir actually says what? No. The Karka and Avodim have a different halacha. They're not judged like all other mitaltalin. You see, the regarding Geneva, they're looked at separately. So too regarding Shevua, they should be looked at separately. What does it separately mean? The Shevua does not apply to Karka and Avodim. Shevua does not apply to Karka and Avodim. Your case is broken. You just wanted to tell me that Rabbi Meir believes that Karka and Avodim, Shevua applies. Here we see no. Rabbi Meir does set them apart to be a different party. Just like regarding Zela, so too regarding Shevua. It's the same logic of Ribu Mitzvah Ribui, and therefore, really, Avodim, one should not be Nishba over Avodim and Karkois. So the Mishnah now remains orphaned. Question. Yeah. Question. I'm willing to your questions now. Now, obviously, we're talking about Eved Knani, not Eved Ivri. Eved Ivri doesn't even belong to the owner. Eved Ivri is not something, by the way, you don't also bequeath it. The pasuk says you bequeath avodim knanim to your children like a piece of land. Eved Ivri you don't. Yeah. Weiter. Answers the Gemara. Haloi kasha. That is not difficult. Why? Kedemachlif Rabba Baravua v'tani. Rabba Baravua switched opinions, which means Rabba Baravua had a different version of the brisa that says as follows: Rabbi Meir Omer mishalim kishas legzeila, v'chachamim omrim omer ba'avodim ashel chalafanecha. Very simple. Says who? Says the Heilige Amoiro Rabba Baravua, and says, I, from my masters, from my Rabbeim, I have a different girsa, a different Mesorah, and I know the Rabbi Meir is the one who actually says, when you steal an Eved or a Behema, they are the same. And if you steal the Eved, you have to pay like the original time of what? Of what? Of theft. Meaning theft applies to Avodim and Karkois, meaning that they are like the regular stuff, like regular metaltalin. And here too in our Mishnah, Rabbi Meir treats Avodim and Karkois like regular kids, like regular things, and therefore what? Shevua applies to them. Mazel tov. So our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. And you know who are the ones who said that Karkois and Avodim are weird and they don't have halachos of Shevua? They don't have halachos of Gzela? That was Chachamim, that was the other ones. So far, so good. We back to square one in a good way. Rabbi Meir is the master of our Mishnah. But you know what was difficult to me? Ella, I have another question. How do you know? Oh, now we're beginning to try and divide and conquer. Maybe that good friendship between Avodim and Karkois can be questioned. How do you know that Rabbi Meir believes that just like you are nishba over an Eved, so too you nishba over karka? Dilma, maybe a Eved the nishboin, aval karka loy. Maybe on Eved he believes you're nishba because Eved is not like karka so much. But maybe karka, really, there's no shvu over karka. Wow. In other words, now we're breaking the friendship or attempting to. Maybe really karka is one thing and Eved is the other. In other words, the karka is something you still don't take shvu over, and Eved you do. Why would that be a problem? That would be a big problem. Why? Because our Mishnah, if you remember, spoke about two examples. Big Eved, small Eved, big karka, small karka. And both of them exactly the same halacha. Our Mishnah is telling me you nishba over karka. And just because we saw Rabbi Meir in the case over there in Bava Kama, Tzadihei, about stealing an Eved, Rabbi Meir actually kept quiet about Karkois, and we assume that he believes in that Zera Shava, or whatever, in that Hekesh, whatever that is, that compares Eved to Karka. Maybe not. Maybe believes Eved is one and Karka is the other. That's a question. That's a question. That's a question. That's a question of the Gemara. That's a question. Why do you tell me in the Mishnah? The Mishnah is looking, the Mishnah is orphaned. The Mishnah is looking for a nice Tana to believe in it, yeah, to say that both Karka and Avodim, there's Shevua. Right now, you prove to me only halfway, because all these sources you brought regarding Rav Meir was about Avodim, that, and you say, Gzeila Shevua applies to Avodim, but maybe to Karka it doesn't. Now, Tosis asks the question, and I'm not going to the details. The Tosis asks a question, Mimanavshach. You either believe Ribu Miyut V'Ribui or Klal Upat Klal, right? But Avodim and Kokor should always be together, right? Only Shtoros is the odd one out. So Tosis basically answers that, no. Tosis answers he believes in Ribu V'Miyut, really. And Ribu Miyut means that both Kokos and Avodim should be included, but he has another pasuk to exclude Karka and not Eved. That's what we say. Technically speaking, and I saw this in the Rishonim, we all know, you're going to be happy now, Ellen, that we all know that Avodim physically are not like a Karka, right? So even if you compare Avodim to Karkois, you don't always compare them. Let me give an example from Daf, I think Yudalef, from some at the beginning of the Masechta. I don't remember exactly where. What happens when somebody dies and they left behind debts? Not science fiction, he left debts. Do the children, the heirs, do they have to pay his debts? Yes and no. Yes, you say yes, you say no. You're both right. Well, basically, it depends. If me'ikar din, without all the takonos and kibudim, takonos agyonim, me'ikar din deoraisa depends. If they're all dead men, excuse my language, if you left behind a piece of land, then they have to pay because the karka is meshuba to the choiv. It's nothing to do with you guys. The karka owes money because karkos automatically always become mortgaged, not like in the Western world. We always say karka is meshuba to the debtor, to the one that's owed money to the lender. So therefore, I don't care what the kids say. The karka is automatically meshuban. If you left behind only what? Metaltalin. Yes, very nice metaltalin, gold watches and gold, I don't know, billions of artifacts and antiques. No, the children, me'ikar hadin, talk to me if it applies to you, me'ikar hadin, they don't have to pay. The Gemara has a debate and a question about avodim. Let's say the children have avodim. Do we view them like karka, yeah? Or do we view them like metaltalin? And it's a machlokes. So we see avodim are not always considered like karka, because avodim physically, technically, are not the same. And now the Gemara is using the same logic and says, wait a second, if I have some questions there, the psukim ribi mute and pratu klal, perhaps we can change and say karka is the real karka, is a clot stuck to the ground. Actually, it is the ground. And avodim may be different. So how can you tell me so easy? Our Mishnah says both karka and avodim you're nishba. And Rabbi Meir maybe he only said it about avodim. He didn't go all 9 yards, excuse the pun, and say it also about karka. So again, the Mishnah is ownerless. It says Gemara l'sal kedaitach. No, that's wrong. No, not true. Rabbi Meir surely now says what? Avodim and karkois are both the same. The Tanya. Look at the following brisa. We're trying to reinforce and say, no, Rabbi Meir, whatever it says about avodim, it says about karka. Same thing. The Tanya. It says in the brisa. This brisa is similar to our Mishnah, but different. Amachlif paro b'chamo, mazel tov, same case. Yeah, it was an exchange of a cow and a donkey. The yolda, mazel tov, the poro, the cow gave birth. The chanamoicha shifchosa v'yolda, a person sold his shifcha for money. The shifcha was not present in the same room when they did the exchange of money. It gave birth, and what's the question? Zama b'shusi. Oh, what's the argument? Each one says the baby was born during the time in which the animal, or lahavdil, the shifcha, was by me. So now, Zama b'shusi, one one says, yeah, I know that the shifcha, I'm a bori, I'm sure, I'm certain. I know that when the shifcha gave birth, it was in my possession, my ownership. One of them keeps quiet. He's like a shema. He's like playing poker, a shema. He's not saying a vadai bori. Zocho, yeah, the one who's the bori v'shema, bori odif. The one who says certainly wins over the one that keeps quiet. Ze oimer ein yodea, v'ze oimer ein yodea. Who's that? Sumchus. Each one says, I don't know, maybe, maybe. There are two people coming to BSD with a maybe. Split it and go home. Each one is super certain, absolutely certain, that the Paro gave birth when it was my possession, and the other one says my possession even louder. Then what do we say? Oh, Ishova hamoichel shebelshuso yoldo. Oh, the moichel. Interesting. Who is the one that has to take Shevua? The seller is the one that has to take the Shevua that he was born when it was not yet sold, when he was still in the seller's, under the seller's authority. Why? Lefisha, big rule over here, huge, important, fundamental rule. Shekol nishboin shabatoiro nishboin velo mishalmin diva b'meil. Whenever the Torah, not the Abonon, whenever the Torah tells me Shevua, every person who has to take Shevua midoraisa takes Shevua in order to loy mishalmin, to exempt himself and get the other guy off his head, off the hook, which means the Torah never prescribes a case in which you're nishba, you swear that that's the truth, and take the money. And actually, Rashi brings down the posuk. It says, "Velokach be'olav velo yeshalem." That posuk of Shevua there in Mishpatim, the posuk quoted all the time, "Velo yeshalem." You swear, and then what? And then you don't pay. So says Rabbi Meir, Lamaisa, when both guys scream at each other, "Bori Bori," who's the one who wants to claim? Obviously, the customer, the client, right? He says, "I got the poro. I also want the baby. Why are you holding back that baby over there? Yeah, the little cutesy little calf over there mooing away. I want that too. I'm not being greedy. I know that he gave birth. Oh, so you're claiming it out of the original chazaka, marakama avu, of the seller. So because the seller is the one, the opposite of plaintiff, the accused, the nitba, he has to take shvua, says Rabbi Meir. Now, wait a second. We're not only talking here about what? About a calf of the animal. We also talk about a human being, an Eved. And yet, what does Rabbi Meir say? And Rabbi Meir says that we're talking here about what? Says Rabbi Meir. Good. So says Rabbi Meir, Shvua is taken about avodim. Oh, how do you know about karka? Wait. So far we saw Rabbi Meir only says, avodim, you take Shvua. And that's a given. What we have to now, the variable which we have to find out is, what does Rabbi Meir say about karkois? Did Rabbi Meir dare to go all the way and say also Nishban Kolkois? Listen to what Chachamim say to him. The Chachamim Oimrim, En Nishban lo la'avodim v'lo la'kolkois. Chachamim reply to Rabbi Meir in a strange way, L'choira, and they say, no. There's no Shvur on avodim and no Shvur over Kolkois. Why do they talk to Rabbi Meir about Kolkois? Says the Gemara, Lav michlad Rabbi Meir sovar nishboin. Yeah. In other words, Chachamim, why are they talking about something Rabbi Meir never spoke about? What did Rabbi Meir speak about? Avodim. Come Chachamim and say, no, Rabbi Meir, there's no Shvu on Avodim and no Shvu on Karkos. Because they knew their crowd. They knew the Rabbi Meir surely, so Nishbo on both Avodim and Karkos, right? Okay, let's see, argue with somebody about two Ashkafic issues, about Avrechim and abortions. I don't know, yeah, leftist guy, whatever. Yeah, so now he tells Avrechim, and you tell him, no, I disagree with about Avrechim and abortions. Mashma, you know that the guy has an agenda about abortions too, right? Yeah. Your guy over the phone, you know the other guy saying too, according to one side of the conversation, right? Yeah. In other words, if Chachamim said avodim and karkois are no nishbabel, must be Rabbi Meir held that also karkois you have shvua. Oh, so you see the Rabbi Meir believes both karkois and avodim. There is what? There is shvua. Very good. Yeah, there is shvua. Both. I mean, not good. Meaning, so it's a problem with our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says, yeah, that there is Shvua on both, right? And what? And Rabbi Meir says, L'choira, Nishboin, both avodim and karkois. So maybe our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. Says the Gemara, no, not necessarily so. Mimai, not necessarily true. The way you interpret Chachamim's reply, and through that you interpret Rabbi Meir, may be wrong. Mimai, how do you know? Dilma kishem koamrulei. Maybe they're telling him kishem, the same way. What does it mean the same way? Ki heichi de oidislan bekalkois, oidilanami ba'avodim. Ay. Rabbi Meir spoke about avodim, and he said avodim, shvu applies to avodim. And that's a given. Came Chachamim and say, no, there is no shvua by avodim nor by karkois. Maybe Chachamim come and tell him like this, listen, Rabbi Meir, we are friends. We have common grounds. We have agreement. We have a consensus regarding what? Regarding karkois. We all know Karkois Shevua does not apply to. Why don't you agree with us? Just like Karkois there's no Shevua, Avodim there's no Shevua either, and Avodim and Karkois are close at the hip, which means really they understood Rabbi Meir as saying that by Karka you're not Nishba, only by Avodim you're Nishba. And now we're in real trouble because now our Mishnah is fatherless. Chachomim say neither Karkois nor Avodim, and Rabbi Meir, according to this understanding, says by Avodim you're Nishba, but by Karka you're not Nishba. So our Mishnah that says that Karkois Shevua applies to has zero support. How do we know that that's the right way to read the understanding of Rabbi Meir? That what? That you're Nishba over Avodim, but you're not Nishba over Karka. Teda. What's Teda? What's Teda? Yes or no? Teda means you should know, which means it's a proof. Teda means here is my proof that none. It says in the Mishnah. Rabbi Meir talks about the following case. Yesh dvarim shen kekarka ve'enan kekarka. What does it mean? Some things are physically like the karka because they're mechuber lekarka. Give me an example of something mechuber lekarka. Very quick. Wheat, barley, grapes, anything grows in the ground, even buildings. Yeah. Some things are like the karka, they're connected to the ground. Halachically, they should be like the ground. Ve'enan kekarka. And yet, halachically, in certain cases, halacha of the ground does not apply to them. What does that mean? We're going to see soon. The en chachamim oidim loy, and chachamim don't agree to him. Ketzad, how is that? Listen to the following case. Asarog fanim teunois masarti lecho. Let's say a person has an argument with his friend, and what are they arguing about? A vineyard. A friend, the owner of the field says to the other guy, "Listen, I gave you maybe to look after, or whatever the case may be. It was under your responsibility, a whole vineyard containing 10 vines. What's te'unot mat'en? Loaded. They were loaded with nice grapes that were very ripe, as you're going to see soon. I gave you 10. The other one says, no, give me 5. Give me 5. Give me only 5, not 10. Yeah, only these 5 over here are the ones under my price. The other 5, they're all eaten by worms. You never gave them to me. Basically, classical case of what? Of moide b'miktsas. Oh, let me ask you a question. A regular moide b'miktsas, which means if I say you owe me 1,000 shekels and you say 500 shekels, classical case of what? Moide b'miktsas. What do you have to do in order to get off the hook? Nishba. That's Git Aleph stuff. Now, what about a piece of land that's barren? Not barren, dafka, that doesn't have any trees growing yet. You have a nice, lush, good piece of land. And I said, you owe me, for whichever reason, you owe me 2 kilometers of land. And you said, Mapitom, you only gave me 1 kilometer. Do you take Shevua? No, of course. That we have concluded. Rabbi Meir, Chachamim, or anybody else, Karka itself, there's no Shevua. Now we come to some great, funny Twilight Zone story of something that's connected to the ground, very ripe, and soon you'll see why I'm saying very ripe. And the question is, how do you judge? How do you view? How do you define that those grapes? Yeah, do you look at them like the ground, or do you look at them as something separate to the ground? Rabbi Meir Mechayev. Rabbi Meir says you chayev Shevua. If the issue that your nishba is not the ground, but the grapes that are connected to the ground, says Rabbi Meir, you have to take Shevua. The Chachamim oimrim, no, Chachamim argue. Kol mechuba lekarka, hareyu kekarka. Rabbi Meir says that item that's connected to the ground is connected to the ground, but it's not like the ground. We view those grapes as if they're disconnected and nicely placed in those plastic boxes you get in the Merkaz, yeah, and they're separate keilu in my mind, in halachic mind, and you take Shevua over the grapes. The Chachamim say, no. They're still connected to the ground, connected to Mami, and therefore what? They're still considered to be part of the land, and no Shevua applies. No Shevua applies to them. What's the argument? Comes Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina to explain the real story behind the Machloikes. Anovim ha'oimdos libotzer ika beinayu. What does it mean, anovim ha'oimdos libotzer? Tell me, please. They are so ripe that they're about to be nivtzar, they're about to be harvested, which means they really don't need the land anymore. They're physically connected to the ground. They don't need the ground. Yeah, they can go rent their own apartment, get a job, and get married. Yeah, in other words, they happen to live here. The Anavim are really about to already be collected. The Masover Kibitzuras Damian. Rabbi Meir believes what? If it's really about to be disconnected and really doesn't need the ground, it may need the fridge. Doesn't get any nutrition anymore. Nothing better is going to happen from that growing in the ground. It's not growing anymore. Says Rabbi Meir, they're considered as if they're cut off. Listen carefully. And therefore we say that they're like betzuros, they're like disconnected, and Shevua applies, which means the ground itself. The ground itself, what does it look at? The ground itself, he would say, you don't take Shevua. You don't take Shevua from the ground. You don't take Shevua to the ground, right? Very good. Very good and very bad. Because now our Mishnah has nobody to rely on, right? Because now our Mishnah cannot be Rabbi Meir. Because our Mishnah says you are Nishban Korkois. And here Rabbi Meir says, the only reason why I think that those grapes Shevua applies to them, because they're not connected to the ground halachically. Mashma, very clearly. If those grapes would be one stage less ripe, more raw, less ripe, less ripe, then, and they would still need the ground, then he would say, don't take Shevua, because they like the ground. Kol sheken, as I told you before, the ground itself, you don't take Shevua. So again, Rabbi Meir does not believe there's Shevua over Korkois. We'll continue. Mal Sova, Lav Kibtzuos Damian, right? And Mal Sova, Chachomim, what do they say? That a piece of land, including the grapes, and the argument is on the grapes themselves. Say Chachomim, listen, as ripe and bursting already those grapes are with the juice coming out, physically they're connected. Sorry, if something is physically connected to the ground, I'm Yekish, and I say it's like part of the ground. It's not B'tzuros, and Shevua doesn't apply. But Lamaisa, both sides agree that the land itself, or anything really connected to the ground, Shevua doesn't apply. Because you see, they only argue about that. Nikuda, is it already in the next stage, kilo, it's off the ground. But the ground itself, Lekula, there is no Shevua. So now we see, let's summarize. And we are stuck deep. We're in trouble deep, Rabbi Isai. Why are we in trouble deep? Let's summarize the question very simply. Let's, clear the mist. The Mishnah says that Shevua applies to both Avodim and Karkois. And after many twists and turns, we remain orphaned. Because both Rabbi Meir and Chachomim, who may have argued regarding a Shifcha, and they do. As Shifcha says Rabbi Meir, Shevua applies to a Shifcha and Eved. In other words, Avodim are not completely like Karkois. Shevua applies to Avodim and Shifchas and the babies and everything. However, when it comes to Karka, real Karka land, everyone agrees, Karka, before grapes and before Shmapes, Karka itself, Shevua does not apply. So who is our Mishnah who's the Mishnah in agreement with? Because the Mishnah says Shevua does apply to Karka as well as to Avodim, and that's banned. And now we have to go back to square one. The original Pshat we said yesterday. Actually, there's room now for questions. Yeah. So now we are stuck, and we have to understand who is the one that says that you nishba over avodim. Answers Gemara Ela la'olam. We're in the second to last narrow line. We're nearing the end of the narrow lines. La'olam k'da b'yoshia. Whoa! What did we say yesterday at the beginning of the Amud? Halacha, the explanation of the Mishnah of Rabbi Yoshia. What did Rabbi Yoshia say? Rabbi Yoshia says as follows. We're talking here about Gilgul Shevua. Nobody is nishba on avodim. No, finish. There's no Shevua, nor over avodim. Even if Rabbi Meir believes that you nishba over avodim, he cannot be the one to say in our Mishnah you nishba over avodim, because our Mishnah also says over karka, right? So our Mishnah cannot be authored by Rabbi Meir. How can you nishba over avodim in karkois? We're talking about the thing called Gilgul Shevua. Remember what we said? They have two arguments. They argue about, I want a big Eved with a nice shal, with a nice big scarf of 4 meters, and you gave me a tiny Eved, a snooky little one, with a 1 meter garment. So because over the garments, I can force your Shevua. Garments, regular metaltalin. I say I got 4 meter fabric, and really I was promised and was given to. That's a legit Shevua. Oh, once you nishba over what? Over the metaltalin, I can roll the other Shevua, and you also be nishba over avodim, even though normally you can't be nishba avodim directly. That's all word of Gilgul. You can force the person Shevua on things that are otherwise you cannot take Shevua, because it's the same court case. Now, vedekashalach. We had a question originally. Zoikik and itztich. We had a question. Is that the chiddush of a Mishnah? Yeah. When push comes to shove, when it all boils down, so what's the chiddush of your Mishnah? Every lamdan should ask it. When all the dust settles, well, what are we left with? Nice words. What are you left with? You tell them a gilgul shvua. Oh, really? That's your chiddush? Go to the cheder over here in Kita Dalet. They learn in the Mefurish Mishnah in Kiddushin that there is a concept called gilgul shvua from metaltalin to karkos. Why do you have to start hinting it over here in such a strange whole story over here? It's a Mefurish Mishnah already. If that's your problem, I'll tell you what the chiddush is. Salkadaita Chamina, I would have thought, and that is a chiddush, ksus eved ke'eved dami. Oimrei sode kesode dami. The two cases of a garment and an eved, or the other case, by the way, which I forgot to mention, you have two debates. You have a debate of a sode, a field, and on the field, I claim I bought a field, and there were X amount of sheaves that were also promised to me to be there already ready cut sheaves, metaltalin, and nishbar the metaltalin over the karka. Now, begilgul. What's the chiddush? I'll tell you the chiddush is. When last time you ate your bread and butter, did you make a bracha over the butter? Bread is not a good example. You had, I don't know, cake and jam on top of it. You made mizonis, and charcoal. Only mizonis. Why? Ikar v'tofel. Oh, Havamina would be that when you are dealing with 100,000 worth eved, which was promised to come nicely wrapped with a shal of 50 shekel, yeah. So I would imagine that something that the eved wears that worth 50 shekels or even 500 is tofel to the eved. It's a non-issue. Like, are you serious? You want to tell me Mechai B'Shvua over the tiny amount, the thing that he wears, which is like tofel to him, or ground, a whole piece of land with some sheaves in it. The land is the main thing. The sheaves are like tofel. Havamina that Shvua doesn't apply to those items because they're secondary. They're like tofel. Like you don't make special shahakol over the jam, yeah, or over the butter. Havamina, therefore Shvua doesn't apply. Kamash Malan that he does. Oh, that's a chiddush. Not only the huge item and the small secondary item is not viewed as a small secondary one, and I can take you to Beis Din over the small item, which is kilo secondary, and make you Shvua. The small one will be mechayev. The big one is Shvua, which is the or the karka, and that is a chiddush. And that we didn't see in Kiddushin. That we didn't see in Kiddushin. In Kiddushin, when I learned the Mishnah in Kiddushin, I imagined, oh, we have a nice bunch of metaltalin as one item. We have a piece of karka separately, one if nothing to do the other. There are two different claims. Claim number one can roll over a shvua to claim number two. That I knew from the Mishnah in Kiddushin. But to have a case in the smaller item, which is the whole trigger for the whole story, the catalyst for the whole story, is something which by nature is secondary. When you see me coming into the room, when I see you coming to the room, I don't say Yitzchak came into the room and his shirt came to the room. I say Yitzchak came to the room, he's wearing hopefully a shirt. Yeah, obviously, yeah, it's all looked at as one, right? Mimela, that's a chiddush. We view that small item as a separate item that requires shvua. Not only that, it forces the other big one to also have shvua with it, which otherwise it would. We have to get to the Mishnah, especially this week. There's a change in the Shiurim. Right. I'm sorry. Bimchila, 3 more minutes, and then I'll hear your questions. Yeah, thank you. First wide line. Yeah, can you do this? Or yeah, can we do weiter? 2 more minutes? Yeah. Now we said in the Brisa the case of the Shifcha. What was the case of the Shifcha? The case that's not the case of a Mishnah. They have an argument about the unborn baby, which eventually was born. The question is, yeah, does the baby belong to the first party, the seller, or the buyer? Yeah. If none of them knows for sure, they both claim and maybe claim, they split. Says the Gemara, who's that? Tzumchusi. Very nice. Obviously, the tzumchus that says that moment, which is in doubt, you split. Aim a seifa. Look what it says in the seifa. Let's say both sides are for sure. Both sides say, yeah, it was born by me. It was born by me. No question. Then the moicher is being the accused one. He's nitba. Give me the unborn baby, which is now born. Give me the calf. So he has to take shvua that the behema was born by him. Okay, very nice. Frag the Gemara. Remember the machlokes we had in Sumchus? between Rabba Baravuna and Rava? You do, very good. But Rabba Baravuna Domar, in Omo Sumchus Afilu Bori Ubori, Amai Shova Moicher, Yechloiku Mibaye, which means, according to Rabba Baravuna, he says that Sumchus says what he says, not only the Yechloiku, not only a case of Bori, Shema V'Shema, even by Bori. In other words, yeah, even when both sides are sure and certain, the person has a chazaka, either chazaka of physical chazaka or cheskas morakama, that he was the first owner. Even that, Sumchus's concept of Yechloiku defeats even that. And he says Yechloiku, even both sides are bori. So why did you say did he take Shevua? Which Shevua? Which Shevua came to your head? You should say Yechloiku. And says the Gemara, no, Moide Sumchus admits, Echedika Shevua Doraisa, the Koto as we answered yesterday in the previous Amud, Sumchus doesn't argue with the Torah. If we really believe that, and by the way, this is even better than yesterday, if we believe that when you have one Shifcha which was pregnant, and the baby came from the Shifcha, we have the concept of Ubar Yerechimoi, right? The baby is like part of the mother. So you had a Shifcha, and I said, the Shifcha is mine, and the baby, which is part of it, and it was born by me, still is part of the Shifcha, belongs to me, and therefore it's Moide B'miktzas, and it's not called Helach because the hand is cut off. Mimela, we say it's a simple case of what? Not so simple, actually. It's a case of Moide B'miktzas. Moide B'miktzas? On that I never spoke, says Sumchus. When I said my beautiful idea of Yechloiku, that is only when you don't have another Doraisa Dika solution, right? There's no other. Let's say Eidim. I don't fight, of course, if the Eidim go by Eidim. Or here, since the case was Moide B'miktzas, because the baby is part of the mother, and you claim you owed baby and mother, and I'm the seller and I say only mother, I'm a Moide B'miktzas. I'm a Moide B'miktzas. Moide B'miktzas, of course, is Chayav Shevua. That's undebatable. That's a portion of the pasuk, and therefore there even Sumchus would agree that Shevua would apply, and not Yechloiku. Mazel tov. Thank you very much. Oh. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Wednesday. We're going to have Shiur tomorrow as usual. Be'ezras Hashem. Hopefully cover Kufala from the Aleph. On Thursday, there will be a Shiur not in Gemara. Shiur on a different topic in honor of Ben Hazmanim. Thank you very much. Atzlocho Rabba b'chol ha'inyonim. Thank you to everyone in YouTube. Torah anytime. Kol ha'lashon to everybody who came here to the Vesmelish. Atzlocho v'rocho.